Hi, this is Cultural Static, the show where I read, watch, and listen to media and let you know whether or not it's worth tuning into or if it's just noise in the void. I'm your host, Ash Campbell, and today we're going to be talking about the movie Mickey 17, directed by Bong Joon Ho. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Bong Joon Ho, he also directed Academy Award winning Parasite as well as Snowpiercer. This film was not something that I was expecting to like as much as I did. To be completely honest, if you're here just to know whether or not I recommend something, yes, I do recommend this as a watchable movie. I enjoyed it very much, actually. Um, the movie, it stars Robert Pattinson as the main character, Mickey Barnes, and his journey throughout this universe. The reason I say universe is this is a science fiction movie, even though it's a black comedy. It's set in an alternate universe, maybe doesn't specify, but it's a different version of Earth, where not not too different from ours. Things aren't going exactly as planned, and Mickey, along with his best friend slash adoptive brother Timo, who's played by Stephen Yeun, they end up in a bad way, owing some money to the wrong person, and they need to escape. Now, there just so happens to be a politician, or a failed politician, as it were, played by Mark Ruffalo. The character's name is Kenneth. He is going to a different planet. They're going on a journey through the stars, and there are a bunch of different ways that you can be a part of this, but it's incredibly selective, and you have to bring something of value. Now, Timo, he went and he became a flitter pilot, or it's a vehicle of a certain kind. How legitimate his skills were in that, it's hard to say. But Mickey, on the other hand, our poor boy Mickey, doesn't really have what you would call discernible skills. So he made do. There was an opportunity to be an expendable. No, not the awesome action expendables where you're going and you're taking down all the bad guys. It is exactly as it sounds. Awful. Human cattle, probably more like it. Guinea pig, definitely, is a term for it. But that's what he chooses. And throughout this, we learn very quickly into the movie that we aren't looking at the original Mickey Barnes. We are looking at a reprinted version of Mickey that has Mickey's memories. Now, I say this, they have been backing up Mickey's memories each week since he came into the program. So all of his memories when he first got there, and then every week since then, so that we will have a complete recollection of his entire life, pretty much. They back it up onto a hard drive, a brick, and I mean that literally. It is a literal brick. It looks like a brick, textured like it, the exact brick. It's so goofy looking. But they use that in combination with a printing technology. It's like a 3D printer mixed with an MRI. It looks like an MRI machine or a CAT scan. And this is used to reprint somebody using all sorts of really gross stuff. Pretty much all sorts of biosolids are turned into a product where they can reprint somebody, which it's gross when you think about it, because there's poop and all sorts of like compost and stuff. It's not pretty. It's never really shown in the film, the actual like machine printing. You see Mickey coming out of the machine. He's fully formed when he's coming out of the machine, but it's really sad. And it might run through your head. You're thinking of all this of, oh well, if they're printing Mickey each time, then surely they're going and they're making him better each time. Like they're going and printing him. Oh hey, hummingbird. They're printing him to be stronger or smarter or faster or evolve him, essentially. Use, if he died from something, make him more resilient to that thing. No, they are printing him exactly the same as he was. So it's rough. He's not any more resistant to pain or anything like that. There's no difference. The only difference is that If he dies, he'll come back. So they put Mickey through some really, really awful stuff. And I mean really awful stuff. Essentially torture, like extreme solar radiation or viruses from an inhospitable planet. Dismemberment, that's definitely in there. But there's a lot of different things. And he just comes back. Relatively the same. It's confirmed by Nasha, who is actually Mickey's love interest, that he comes back a little bit different each time. Not physically, his personality's a little bit different. So sometimes there's a smart Mickey, or a silly, or an annoying Mickey, or a dumb Mickey. And Nasha Barrage, she is played by, I believe her name is Naomi Ackie. Nasha has been through this entire journey with Mickey. She's not an expendable. She's part of the security team. But she has been by Mickey's side as he goes through all of this. So as he's experienced all of this, he has had somebody in his corner. There's only so much she can do on some of the stuff. He still has to go through it and die, live a miserable life. But she's there with him. And when she's introduced, because this gets to a point I want to bring up. When she's introduced, there's this big spiel on the spaceship, because they've left Earth at this point. They are going to the stars. And Kenneth, the politician who's leading this expedition, leading is a very loose word, they're having this big speech in the cafeteria. And Kenneth's wife, Ylfa, is there. Toni Collette played her. I do not like Ylfa at all, really. And nothing against Toni Collette. She played the character very well. It's just frustrating watching her. Same thing with Kenneth. Mark Ruffalo did a good job playing Kenneth. But it is very, very annoying and disturbing to watch. He licks his lips in a really awkward way. He talks a lot with his teeth. And it's weird. But he's given this really dumb speech in front of all of that. And then throughout all of this, Nasha and Mickey lock eyes from across the cafeteria. Mickey, he's been a bit of a loner to this point. The only person he's really had in his life to rely on is Timo, who has not been a good friend or brother. Most of the trouble Mickey has gotten himself into has been because of Timo. Regardless of that, Mickey and Nasha lock eyes from across the room, and then they go, and it goes into this really bizarre back and forth of jumping between different scenes of Mickey and Nasha having sex in a lot of random different like little blips, and going back to when they're first meeting and the speech is going on. So it's like jump cutting between the speech and them having sex. And it was just weird. I get the point that it served. It had a very quick connection and all of that. But it was just weird because like you're trying to listen to the speech, kind of, not really. Kenneth is not a guy that you really enjoy listening to. But still, I don't see the point for showing sex in a lot of movies that it is in. It has its place, but I don't feel like it's always needed. I feel like there are easier ways to get a point across. But they go and have their adventures, and then the movie progresses with them getting to the planet Niflheim. Such a strange, man, the names and some of the stuff, like, you'll go through and like, Mickey Barnes, reasonable name. Kenneth, reasonable name. And then you just start getting into like some weird Niflheim? That's what her name is. I mean, I guess if you consider Uranus, it's just Niflheim. I don't know. I don't know if I get that one or not. But regardless of that, that's where they're headed. Now, this all happens very early in the movie, so I haven't spoiled a whole lot. From this point forward, I'm going to be talking more about the movie, in depth of what I felt about specific points in the plot and all of that. So if you don't want this to be spoiled, I would go on and skip closer to the end. I'll put a timestamp in the description on the episode for when you should skip to if you want to just go to the end to hear my final thoughts on this. But if you would love to listen to the rest of my thoughts about this, then please continue listening. If you want to watch this and then come back to this episode to hear how I feel about it, so that way it's not a spoiler for you anymore. At the time of this recording, it is just starting to stream on Max, or HBO Max, or HBO, whatever you want to call it. But that's where it's streaming at. That's where I watch this at. So go watch that if you don't want it to be spoiled, or if you haven't seen it already, and then come back and we'll listen and we'll go through all this together. So, I skipped over it because I didn't really want to spoil it, but we're coming back to it. So they're going through all of this, and they end up arriving on the planet. When they first arrive on the planet, Mickey is exposed to a terrible virus that takes several iterations of him dying to find a cure for it so people can actually explore the planet. And after they have done this, after Mickey dies several times, they end up going through an expedition with a couple of people. One of the characters' name's Kai, one of them, I believe, is Jennifer. And they go through all of this, and they are, quote, attacked. I say that as we talk more, we'll learn more about these creatures. They called them creepers, and they are essentially big, roly-poly, like, they're weird. They are weird, for sure. They are roly-poly-like, but they're also like little mammals, almost. I say little, they're rather large, but I don't have the words to accurately describe them. They're gray and weird. But they're, quote, attacked, and due to the actions of some of the members of the group, Jennifer dies. Now, this is a big moment for Kai. Kai and Jennifer are best friends, and it becomes a point of disdain towards Mickey by other people because, Mickey's an expendable. Why couldn't it have been him who died? I mean, he didn't do it. He wasn't responsible for it. He just happened to be there. It's their own fault. But it is what it is. I need to mention, it's called Mickey 17. So, with the original Mickey Barnes at the beginning of this, he was Mickey Prime, Mickey number 1. Each time he has died, he has, the number's gone up. And so each time he's reprinted, so the first time he was reprinted, he was Mickey number 2. So on and so forth to where we get to Mickey 17, where he is the 17th version of Mickey, 17th body total. And this goes on, people get reamed, and Mickey ends up back out on an expedition. And he falls, gets hurt. He's trying to get some information. Timo comes by, stops by to say hi, just grabs the stuff, and he goes and leaves Mickey to die, Mickey 17 to die. And then the creepers, they come back. And this is what happens at the beginning of the movie. A big creeper comes up, and you think it's going to eat Mickey. But once we reach this point in the story further into the movie, we see that this is actually not the case, that the creeper actually saved Mickey's life, brought him out of the crevasse that he was in, and, I say saved his life, saved him from the crevasse, and didn't necessarily save his life. He ended out in the middle of the frozen wasteland of the planet. The planet reminds me of Hoth from Star Wars, just a icy wasteland. But they go through, and Mickey ends up getting out to an outpost, essentially, and he ends up going back into the base, or the ship, and he gets back to his room, and there's Mickey 18. Now, this is a problem. Way back when the Expendable program, when it was getting started, there was a scientist who went too far. I mean, a legitimate psychopath. And this psychopath, he went and made a clone of himself, a multiple, because his original body was still there. And then either he was committing murders or his number 2 was committing murders. But there were several times where they thought that he had an alibi and then the murders were still going on. So they went and they brought him in, and it turns out he had a multiple, and the multiple was doing the killing. So they brought the multiple in, and it turns out that they had another multiple. So the dude had like 4 of him running around at once. So they banned the printing program on Earth, and they made it a law that you're not allowed to have multiples. If a multiple exists, then all of the ones that they find, they'll all be permanently deleted. If they find Mickey 17 and Mickey 18, then both of them will be permanently deleted. So Mickey will just flat out die. There will be no coming back for him. They won't, kill both of those and then make Mickey come back as Mickey 19. None of that. They just kill him, and that's the end of Mickey Barnes. That's that story. But we can't have that. Absolutely not. We can't have that. Mickey's the hero of our story, after all. Of course we can't have this. So Mickey and Mickey get into it, and they end up going to the incinerator room. This is where all of the trash and dead bodies, mostly of Mickey's, have been going. So they end up in there, and they're fighting, and they both know that since they're multiples, they can't be found out. Mickey 18 originally knocked Mickey 17 out and brought him in there, was going to throw them into the incinerator. So the problem would be solved, but Mickey 17 ended up waking up and didn't want to die, understandably so. So They fought again, and then they heard somebody coming in. So they both scurry off to where they're hidden, and it's Timo. And Timo is making a drug deal. Now the drug, it is green. It's a liquid. I think you snort it, or I don't know the specifics of how a made up illegal drug works. I don't know the specifics of how normal drugs work. But they see all this going down. It's called like Ozofol or something like that. I don't know. But apparently it's really powerful. And they see all this going down. And Mickey 18 is cold and calculating and is probably also a psychopath. Very different from Mickey 17. Mickey 17, who's been alive the longest of the Mickeys, besides the Mickey Prime. He's a lot more meek and willing to be walked over. He does not stand up for himself in practically anything. So they're seeing all of this of Timo selling drugs, and Mickey 18 runs over, tries to throw Timo into the incinerator. Mickey 17 comes through, starts fighting Mickey 18, tries to bring Timo up after Mickey 17 and Mickey 18 fight back and forth. Somebody else comes in, and they end up, saving Timo. Mickey 18 saves Timo. Mickey 17's off hiding somewhere. 18 tells Timo that, he better keep it a secret that there's two of them, because he knows that he's dealing, so if he doesn't want to go down for that, then he better watch out. So all this is going on, and they go back to doing their thing. Nasha ends up finding out that there's two of them and wants to do both of them. And then along the way, Mickey 17 got taken to this feast. Everybody was put into a lottery to have a feast with Kenneth, and Mickey ended up winning the lottery. Kai also showed up, and there's a lot of weird religious stuff. There is one priest kind of character, not of any real world denomination. And man, that dude gives me the willies. He is such a weird, strange dude. Not in any fun way or like a good villain. He's just flat out weird. There's this whole religion that's going on that isn't brought up a whole lot, but just enough to keep the plot rolling. But going back to the dinner, Kai asks if she can say, some words of prayer about her friend that died. And then, since this is a feast being provided by the leader of all of this, probably a dictator, probably a better term, by Kenneth and his wife Ylfa, and they're there, and then they start singing out in hymns. And then we find out that apparently they fed Mickey some experimental growth hormone food, and he ends up having an incredibly painful allergic reaction to it. It's bad to the point where he should probably die. And they end up giving him some experimental pain medicine that does not work. They're getting ready to kill Mickey, which Mickey doesn't want to die, because since there's two of them now, then if he dies, then they won't print him back. They'll just be the one Mickey that's there currently, and that'll just be it. So Mickey knows if he dies, it's different this time. So he fights through the pain, and it's miserable, and he can barely walk. I'm skipping over this. I didn't mean to. So Kenneth was going to blow Mickey's brains out, just while Mickey was laying on the ground writhing in pain. He was just going to this is more humane, and he was going to kill him. And then his wife, Ylfa, was like, no, you can't do that. Not on my Persian rug. No. Are you kidding me? You're worried about getting a hole or some blood on your carpet more than you're worried about this man's head getting blown off? You're worried about that more than somebody dying? I get that it's Mickey and he's an expendable, but has the human life really lost that much value? I guess to people in power it probably does. It's so weird seeing the relationship that Kenneth and Ylfa have. He is a child a lot when it comes to her. It's instead of talking to his wife, it's he's talking to his mom. It's just very, very childish. So that whole dinner happens. Kai ends up taking Mickey back to her room. She gives him this very nice tea that's supposed to help with stomach aches. It's a very rare tea, apparently, that she's been saving since she left Earth for special occasions or when she gets stomach aches. And then Mickey's starting to feel better, and she goes to kiss Mickey. Now, if there's one thing about my boy Mickey 17, is he is loyal. Nasha, it's his twin, that's his ride or die. Love to see it. Love to see it. So he's like, no. And then he runs back to his room, and he finds that Nasha and Mickey 18 are not only have been doing it, but also that they've been high on that Ozolful or whatever, and Mickey 17 is not happy about it. But he doesn't really have anywhere else to go. So they're in the middle of trying to sort out, like, who works what days. Like, oh, I'm Mickey 17, so if I die, I'll be printed out on the odd numbers, and you're Mickey 18, so, like, we'll do it so that way you'll die and you'll get put on the even numbers. But this doesn't last very long, because while they're getting ready to do other things, all three of them, because Nasha wants to, and Mickey 18 has no boundaries whatsoever, and Mickey 17 is too spineless to say anything else. Kai walks in, sees this, understands that having multiples is an incredible violation, punishable by death, and she walks out, and Nasha follows after. This is a point where we can really start seeing an escalation in the story. Nasha and Kai are having a very serious argument about the Mickeys, and Kai, she wants Mickey 17. She's like, well, you already have your Mickey. I want to have a Mickey. He was practically crawling all over me. He was not. My boy loyal. And then Nasha's like, no, it was, when there was just one of them, he was my Mickey. Even though there's two of them, it's still my Mickey. You're not getting my man. So they get ready to have a fight. And in the room, Mickey 17 and Mickey 18 are having a conversation while Kenneth's nighttime show, late night show, is going on. It looks a lot like a Jimmy Fallon or a Jimmy Kimmel show. Very over the top and extra. Just whatever you're picturing for late night, add a little bit more neon to it and you're probably there. And they're having a very intense discussion about how weak Mickey 17 is compared to Mickey 18. And he does not have the willpower that Mickey 18 does. That compared to Mickey 18, that he's more of a coward. Now, Mickey 18 is also, I truly believe, a psychopath. Terrifying. There is a point that Mickey does not stand up for himself. Mickey 17 will not stand up for himself. Even against himself, even against Mickey 18. Mickey 18 is furious once he learns that Mickey 17 got fed that experimental food and almost died, and they were going to kill him. So he goes and he takes Nasha's pistol. Nasha, since she works security, she keeps a pistol with her. He takes Nasha's pistol and he's going to go and kill Kenneth. It'll be all said and done. So he runs out. Mickey's running after him, and Mickey 18 passes by Nasha and Kai, and Mickey 17 like, guys, we got to go get him. He's trying to kill our leader. Even though we don't like him, we still can't let him just kill somebody. So they go and they do that. They go to the show where they're going to unveil this giant slab of rock that was brought in, and Mickey 18 is planning on killing Kenneth. While this happens, they cut open the rock and a creeper pops out and starts attacking Kenneth, and everybody goes to start shooting the creeper, and Mickey 18 takes a shot and it grazes Kenneth's cheek. That poor creeper got blown to bits. The Mickeys ended up getting arrested. It was a whole deal. The Mickeys and Nasha are all in prison in these little jail cubes. And then, wouldn't you know it, old Timo shows up with some other dude, a guard, and he's got a plan to kill one of the Mickeys. Because while they were on Earth, if they didn't get the money back to him within a certain amount of time, was going to chop them up into little pieces with the chainsaw. And he showed them that he was going to do that because he showed them in person. Like, they got captured while they were on Earth, and he forced them to watch the execution and dismemberment of somebody else who owed him money and was late on the payment. They fled Earth, and then apparently, while they were on the ship, Timo got contacted by somebody saying that, hey, you still owe this guy all this money, and if you don't get it within a certain amount of time, then somebody's going to have to die, one of you two. So Timo, being the scoundrel that he is, says, hey, I'm not going to die, and figures that this is a good opportunity. There's two Mickeys anyways. It's not going to be a huge deal. I'm just going to make a video cutting you up. Mind you, Mickey still feels all this pain. They're going to bring Mickey out of one of the cages, and through some impressive sleight of hand and deception, they grab the guard, steal his taser, tase Timo and the guard, grab the keys, and unlock themselves from the cell. And just in the nick of time, before Nasha executes Timo with a chainsaw, some other people come in. They stop this from happening. Now, what this opens to is all of them are, again, captured, and they're taken in front of the dictator Kenneth and his wife Ylfa. They're just so weird. He now is slicked back, looking all pimp nasty, but in like commander's garb. Really goofy. And this is when we learn something weird about Ylfa. She is also insane, specifically when it comes to these sauces. The food is so bland. Oh my goodness, we're rich. We're going to explore uncharted worlds, but I'm so mad because I can't have my Big Mac sauce. It's so stupid, but it works so well because it's very infuriating to watch. Because they have captured one of these creepers. Mickey 17, through his little experience with the creepers, can somewhat communicate or mimic their communication, which ends up leading to one of the scientists, who was the only scientist who has shown any remote sense of care or understanding towards Mickey. And not like great care, but just any semblance of respecting that he is a living being. It's my girl Dorothy. Shout out Dorothy. What's up? She begins trying to make a translator for these creepers, just on the fly. Super cool. We go back to the room, and they have a creeper captured. Ylfa cuts off the creeper's tail, and then grinds it up in like a puree, and then, ooh, that's good sauce. Oh God, she's so crazy. She's so crazy. I don't get rich people or powerful people, but that's what she is. So in this, fantasy world, universe, whatever, then she's gonna kill some aliens, which, even though the humans are absolutely the aliens in this, Nasha brings up this point that they are the aliens, because they are not native to that area, they're not native to that world, so they are absolutely the aliens in this case. And just how it's stupid to go and massacre a bunch of them for this. So the bad guys, they end up like meat hooking this poor little creeper, and then they send both the Mickeys out on relatively suicide missions. They rig them both with bomb vests, and then Kenneth has a control, and they write numbers on them, 17 and 18. He gives Mickey 18 a wicked burn right here across the left side of his face with a hot poker, so that way he can distinguish between the two. It's also the same side that Kenneth has his very small little wound from the shot that Mickey took. And Mickey 17 and 18 are told that they must go and collect 100 creeper tails. The first one to get to 100 lives. The other one is blown to smithereens. If they go too far away, or if they're not in the right area, then they're going to get killed. So they go outside, and Dorothy, being the boss that she is, shout out Dorothy, she gives Mickey 17 a translator. And Mickey 17 and 18, they go outside. They don't kill a single creeper. And they start having a conversation with the boss creeper. This is the creeper that, while Mickey 17 was in the crevasse, actually saved Mickey. So shout out Mama Creeper. And while this is going on outside, on the inside of the ship, Kenneth is awful and makes Nasha hold the rope that's holding the baby that's on the meat hook above the incinerator. This little baby creeper. Makes her hold it with her teeth. Which also, she holds this for an impressive amount of time. So go on, Nasha, with your strong jaw muscles. This goes on, and Mickey 17 and 18, through their conversation, realize that they're actually really intelligent, the creepers, and they just want to be left alone. They got no beef with anybody, and all that they care about is getting their little one back. They're really pissed off about the one that died. They got Luko and Zoko. They just want the little baby back that's still alive, and they also want a life for a life. They want somebody to die, just as, well, not in the exact same way, but just a life for life. But evil dictator being an evil dictator. They got the cameras all zoomed in on Mickey 17 and 18 and all of this, and Mickey 17 and 18 relay back to the cameras that they need to bring the baby to the mother so that way they can save everybody. And Kenneth's being awful, and they go out there and they plan on killing all of them. They plan on killing all of them with a nerve gas that they were actually experimenting on Mickey with. God, I hate these people. Why are you abusing my boy? Just leave Mickey Barnes alone, please. But they can't. They cannot. So these convoys, they start rolling out, and they're planning on blowing everything up. They roll out. On the inside, Ylfa, being Ylfa, goes nuts, tries to kill some people because she wants her freaking sauce. And then she ends up having her authority stripped away from her, and everything starts getting better. Nasha takes the baby and starts running, trying to meet up with Mickey 17 and Mickey 18. And they go outside. Mickey 17 gets kind of like swept away a little bit by these creepers from Mickey 18. Mickey 18 is being the hero in this. And he goes and he runs up, not afraid to die. Well, it appears that he's not afraid to die. And he just runs straight ahead and goes to try to attack convoys and ends up pinning down everybody else there running away because they don't want to shoot Mickey, because if they shoot him and he's that close, then his bomb vest will go off and then it'll kill all of them. So they're terrified, and Mickey 18 pins down Kenneth and it's like, hey bro, I'm gonna take both of us. And Kenneth's like, oh man, you're scared. You're scared. It's okay, I'm scared too. You don't have to do this. You can be my friend. And Mickey 18's like, nah. Beep. Blows both of them up. So Mickey 18, done. No more. Gonzo. It's actually really sad. I do want to take a moment to reflect on the weight of this. It really shows that there has been some growth between when Mickey 18 was created and him now. There has been a exchanging of values between Mickey 17 and Mickey 18, because Mickey 18 has softened some and Mickey 17 ends up hardening some. So in a very heroic sacrifice, Mickey blows himself up, blows Kenneth up, dictator is done, and the day is safe. And the movie is really winded down at this point. All of them end up in prison during this, and then they end up getting out way later on. It turns out that Nasha actually gets on the committee or whatever, and they're taking the steps, and they do take the steps to outlaw the Extendable program. Now that they have established this planet, there's no need for it. So, just as it was on Earth, on Nilfheim, it's not happening, Captain. And they go and they're going to go blow it up. Mickey has the remote, and it's this big ceremony with a bunch of people there. And he ends up in a dream, but he doesn't know it's a dream at the time. So in this dream, he dreams that Ylfa is alive and is printing out Kenneth again. Well, it turns out that Ylfa killed herself the day after Kenneth died, and Mickey acknowledges this and is like, nah, I'm not scared of you. I know this. I'm going to do what 18 would do. Peace. Get out of here. And he wakes up from the dream, and it was just a dream. It's a very intense moment, realistically, because you're like, man, was it hearsay that she died? What's going on? No, it was true. She did. And then the day seems to be saved. Everybody's fine. Everybody's living happy. They blow the printer machine up, and there's no more Mickey 17. It's just Mickey Barnes. There's no number. What's the point of keeping track if there's no possibility of anything else? He's just Mickey. And there was a quote at the end of the movie that I really enjoyed. Let me see here. The last line of the movie, he's talking about just how he feels guilty. He's experiencing survivor's guilt. He is really struggling with the fact that 18 died and he's still alive, and just how everything is going on. And then he's like, you know what? It's okay for me to be happy. And I think that's just a wonderful way to end that film. A film so just embedded with just strife and torment and torture and just a real struggle with life and death, literally. But just taking that, it's good getting to see the change of, even though he doesn't have any more chances, he's happier now. Not because he doesn't have any more chances, but just because the opportunity is afforded to him during this. So that's the end of the movie. Overall, hell yeah. It's a good movie. It gets weird. There are some good laughs in it. There are some cringe moments. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I really liked the differentiation in the sets that they had. For the most part, almost every single thing you see is kind of bleak. It's very much like a Fallout vibe, a future dystopia of sorts. For the most part, it's mostly very barren or sparsely decorated. Horrible weather throughout all of this as well. But then there are certain spots like Kenneth's room, dining room, whatever, and every time you see Kenneth, it's pretty much just an ornate room or setup, and it's so frustrating to see that he's going and he's cutting people's rations in half, but he's up there eating his steak dinners and living in the laps of luxury. Meanwhile, Mickey, who is dying all the time, is living in a tiny little room. He just gets a room. It's so frustrating. But that symbolism, just showing the opulence and the decadence of those spaces compared to how everything else is just shows how bad of a leader that Kenneth is, just how much he prioritizes himself and just using everybody to promote his own personal gain instead of actually wanting to build a better future for the people that he's there with. It's very well evident, not just in the mannerisms of the character, but also in just how the story plays out and how that set design is very well done on that. And another thing I wanted to mention is I don't remember there being any recognizable score or like any like actual like soundtrack to this movie other than one specific scene, which is essentially the big scene where Mickey 18 is going to shoot Kenneth and all of that. I don't remember there being like a stitch of music anywhere else. I could be wrong on that, but I made a note when I was watching it that there was just such a lack of any music anywhere. Which I thought was interesting. In closing, I really enjoyed Mickey 17. I thought that the cast did a really good job of bringing to the table what they had. Robert Pattinson in particular, I watched some of the behind the scenes stuff for this, did a wonderful job of switching back and forth between his personas, because he does, like, it's not just he's just like, oh hey, I'm Mickey 17, oh hey, I'm Mickey 18. No, he's using different voices, different mannerisms, posture, all of that stuff goes into each of those personalities. So each time that he's given a number, then he is going to a different persona, just like how the character is described. He's going back and forth between Mickey 17 and Mickey 18, and it's really well done. There's no confusion about who was who, even like when they're standing side by side, without any visible physical traits. But you can tell it just like posture, body language, all of that stuff. And then the voices, he just goes through some really nice voices with all of that, and it's all really well done. Overall, it's a good movie. I suggest you go watch it if you haven't already. But in the meantime, stay well. Go check out your local library. They have a lot of cool stuff going on. I can almost guarantee it. Be safe. God bless. Peace.